Welcome to Tech Closeup. I'm Mark Albertson, and to anyone who lives or works in Silicon Valley, well, you know you don't get any closer to technology than right here. It's high tech that makes the Valley tick. So we want to bring you up close to the Valley's people, issues, personalities, and the innovative technologies that just might change the world. Now, there's no question that the internet's changed everybody's world, in many cases for the better. But if your desktop ever caught a virus or your files were ever hacked, well, you know, there's a downside to computer technology too. And that's why there's such a worldwide focus on cybersecurity. And nowhere is that focus more critical than right here in the Silicon Valley. Well, one man who's literally grown up with cybersecurity is Atkin. He's 19, but don't let his age fool you. 5 years ago, Atkin wrote a book called Ethical Hacking. It's become a staple in the security business. He's given more than 100 seminars to CEOs and government officials. And, well, here's something won't surprise you too. He's also a sophomore at Stanford University. Atkin, thanks for joining us right here on Tech Closeup. I wonder if the CEOs and the cybersecurity executives who invite you to speak have the same reaction that I did when I met you. The door opens, in comes this 19-year-old kid. What is he going to tell us?
Yeah, most people are really surprised when they see me walk into a conference room or walk into the training center. But on many occasions, we have also not advertised my age at all, because some people do consider or think about the fact that how can a 19-year-old actually teach us something? But hacking is a very young industry, and people have started realizing that the best people in the industry are also the youngest.
But the title of the book, we'll get to the fact that you wrote this book when you were 14.
Yeah.
You know, I got to get into the mindset of what's a 14-year-old writing a book for. But the title of the book, how can hacking be ethical?
Well, traditionally in computer security, there are two types of people. One are the hackers, the other are the crackers. Hackers are actually the good guys who fight cybercrime, who catch the computer criminals, work with the police agencies and so on. While crackers are the real bad guys who break into systems, create viruses, steal credit card numbers and so on. But probably due to the media or for some other reason, the hackers and the crackers, the two terms have intermingled. And nowadays when you talk about hackers, you immediately start thinking about a criminal. But in reality, hackers are the good guys, crackers are the bad guys.
So you've got guys wearing white hats and guys wearing black hats. What color hat do you wear?
I obviously wear the white hat, and I'm the ethical hacker, the good guy who fights cybercrime.
All right, you're 14 years old, 5 years ago, and apparently you knew enough about cybersecurity to want to write a book. But you could have, instead of writing the book, you could have put on a black hat and joined these other crackers and started spreading misery around the world. What made you choose the white hat road?
I must confess that it was really tempting to get into the wrong side of the law, but luckily I got into the right side of the law and found out that it's probably white hat hacking is more lucrative, and it's probably you get more respect as well. So it's always better to stick to the correct side of law as far as hacking is concerned.
Well, tell me more about ethical hacking. What do you mean when you say ethical hacking?
Typically in ethical hacking, say for example, if you own a company, then you'll probably hire a couple of ethical hackers and ask them to try to break into the system. And if they're able to break into your system, they'll tell you how they did it, what loopholes they exploited, and what recommendations they have for you so that you can improve your security. So ethical hacking or penetration testing are basically tests which are conducted by security experts who try to break into a system without causing any harm to your network, and at the same time advise you what security practices or what recommendations they have for you.
What kind of damage can these crackers do?
Crackers can, nowadays you have more and more companies depending on the internet for their business processes. So as you become more and more dependent on the internet, the extent of damage can just increase. And typically, just around the corner, we're going to have all the technological devices connected to the internet. Your say, refrigerator, all your washing stuff, your television, everything would be connected to the internet. So as more and more devices come online, security is just going to become a bigger issue.
Now, in terms of telling industries what their loopholes, what their problems are they always a step ahead of the crackers, or are the crackers always a step ahead of the industry?
Like just as in the case of real robbers, the bad guys are always ahead of the good guys. So that's why it's all the more important for the police agencies, for the companies and the governments to get the bad guys on their side, use their knowledge and experience to fight the remaining bad guys. Say for example in the medical industry, whenever you have a new virus discovered, you take weaker forms of the same virus, inject them into the human body so that the human body becomes immune against the same virus. That's exactly what you need to do in security. Get the knowledge that the bad guys already have and use this knowledge to fight cyber criminals.
Now, you told me that you travel around the world and that you've got a company in Malaysia. I don't know how you do it. I mean, you're studying at Stanford, you run a company, you travel around the world. I don't know where you find 24 hours to do that. But you mentioned something to me earlier, that they don't take cybersecurity as seriously over there as we do over here. Can you explain what's going on?
Like definitely the United States and Europe are probably far ahead as compared to Asia as far as security is concerned. Security is a bigger issue here. People take it more seriously. You have more security companies out here in the market. You have more security software available as well. But as far as Asia is concerned, Asia is probably 2 steps behind of United States, Australia and Europe. And the government itself has not started taking security seriously. Most companies do not have a separate security team. They do not carry out security training for their employees. And generally, security is not taken as seriously as in this part of the world. So outsourcing has become a big issue nowadays. So what is the guarantee that the data which is being sent to countries like India and China is actually protected? What is the guarantee that a computer criminal will not break into that same data, steal it or leak it in the public?
You know, I guess the IRS has people in India or in other countries. They're the customer service agents who answer your call,
Exactly.
and they're looking at your tax forms.
And somebody could break into their systems, break into their laptops and steal your sensitive data and make it public.
Now, here in Santa Clara County, here in Silicon Valley, what makes this area critical to the future of cybersecurity?
I think most inventions in the technology world have come out of Silicon Valley. There are a lot of security companies here. There are a lot of companies who are working to fight spam as well. So you can definitely expect excellent world-class security solutions coming out of this part of the world.
All right, let's look at the future then. Let's look at what's going to come out of Silicon Valley. What do we need to do to make industries and our computers at home, what do we need to do to make our security safer, and what role will Silicon Valley play to do that?
Now, first of all, we need to realize that there's absolutely no way you can make a system 100% secure. But our job as consumers or companies is to make systems as safe as possible. So the first role has to, or the first move has to be made by your operating system vendor. So vendors like Microsoft or say Unix developers must work together and make security or make their operating systems more secure. Secondly, a lot of investment must be done to generate awareness as far as security issues are concerned. The consumers must realize the risks involved. The consumers must be informed that these are the security practices that you must follow. And thirdly, the CEOs of various companies, both IT and non-IT companies, must be told that security is a big issue, and security is something that not only the IT industry should take seriously, but even non-IT sectors must take security seriously.
You mean there's industries that don't take it seriously?
Exactly. Even in the US, there are a lot of companies who say, I'm not a website or I'm not an e-commerce company, why should I take security seriously? So you got to make such CEOs aware and got to tell those CEOs or give them real-life examples which will make them realize that security is something that can affect absolutely anyone.
Everything is almost looped into the web, even our cell phones now.
Exactly.
You touched on this a moment ago, but what are the dangers? What are the dangers of the future where we are so webbed in life?
I'll give you a couple of examples. There was this lady in Bombay in India, and she was really technologically savvy, and she used to buy herself the latest modem, the latest surround sound system, and so on. And one day what happened was, while she was chatting on the internet, somebody managed to break into her computer. After breaking into her computer, the attacker managed to install a Trojan or a spying tool on her computer, and using that Trojan, he managed to switch her webcam on. So from that moment, whatever was happening in her room was being broadcast live on the internet 24 hours a day. And she had absolutely no knowledge that something so terrible was happening to her.
A peeping Tom.
Exactly. And this is an example of an individual getting affected by security or privacy issues. Even companies or organizations like NASA can actually get affected. There was a time somebody broke into a system at NASA, and that system actually controlled a spaceship in space. So the attacker or the intruder actually had the ability or the power to be able to change the course of the spaceship in space. Thankfully, that did not happen. NASA actually realized that something was going wrong, and they stopped the attacker before he could actually do anything wrong.
I've seen things like this, unfortunately, but I've seen them in science fiction movies. But you sound
Hollywood.
like it's going to be real. But is there any kind of international police force that is patrolling and enforcing cybersecurity rules?
Unfortunately, right now we do not have an international set of cyber laws or international cyber cops. And that is, I think, one of the biggest hindrances against or preventing the police agencies from getting to the bad guys. Because if I'm an attacker, say for example, I'm in Pakistan or Russia, and if I break into a US website, then the US police agencies need to contact my country's police agencies and hope that they actually cooperate. And unless there is international cooperation, there's no way I can actually get caught. And unfortunately, right now, since we do not have international laws, we do not have international cyber cops, that kind of cooperation or investigation actually does not happen.
What's the reason why we're not? I mean, every country is webbed somehow. Why don't we have this cooperation?
That's a difficult question to answer, but there's so many countries across the globe. For all of them to come together, come under consensus and come up with the same set of laws is quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we have a hard time convincing people about global warming.
Exactly.
But cybersecurity sounds like it's even more serious a problem, and nobody's taking it seriously.
People are taking it seriously. Proper steps are also being set up. Proper forums are also being set up, wherein governments from different parts of the globe send in their representatives. We are slowly moving towards that utopian world wherein we have international cyber laws and we have international cyber cops. But we are quite a way away.
Now, I want to get back to the fact that you're 19. This is a young people's business.
Exactly.
I mean, you've grown up in something that most of us didn't grow up in. Is that why we're finding people your age who are doing this sort of work?
Yes, that, and secondly, most youngsters, they go to high schools or go to colleges wherein the internet speed or internet access is freely available. So that internet access can be used to find out information on hacking or computer security on the internet. And youngsters have the time to actually learn security and play around with systems. So security is definitely a very young industry. And secondly, it's also a very dynamic industry, wherein every week you have new loopholes, new viruses being released on the internet. So you must constantly update your knowledge and make yourself aware of the latest happenings in the industry.
What provokes somebody to want to spread misery? Why do they do it?
I think it's the power of being able to do something that normal people can't, or the power of being able to access files or parts of systems that normal people cannot. I think that's the main motivation behind any kind of computer criminal. And secondly, it could be financial reasons. You could actually break into a bank's website and transfer X number of dollars into your own account. So there are financial motivations, there's the power of being able to do stuff that other people cannot. And thirdly, in the underground community, there are a lot of ego battles. So there are small select groups or select computer criminal organizations who constantly compete with other criminal organizations and try to break into maximum number of websites.
You're talking about gangs.
There are gangs on the internet, definitely.
Do they keep score?
Definitely. There are certain websites which are dedicated to just keeping scores or finding out what group broke into what website.
Really? It's like Major League Baseball standings?
Exactly.
And they compete with each other?
Yeah.
And they know they're causing misery.
And sometimes members of a specific group actually double crosses his own group and tries to join another group, and probably disloyalty and betrayal. It's exactly what any kind of Hollywood movie is made up of.
Do we have snitches who turn them in?
Exactly. There are a lot of agents who are sent by the FBI or any kind of police agency who join these kinds of computer criminal groups and give out information to the police.
Well, the bottom line now, from an expert, what is it that average folks, not just industries, but what is it that average folks who just have a laptop like this or a desktop at home, what do they need to know and what do they need to do?
I think first of all, every consumer, every kind of internet user must take security seriously. One must constantly update patches or install the latest updates or patches of your antivirus software, of your operating system and so on. Thirdly, you must install some sort of firewall on your computer. And fourthly, try to make yourself aware as much as you can about security.
So you have to take it as seriously as industry does.
As seriously as the bad guys do.
Are there websites that help you update on what patches you need? And
I think Google is probably any kind of criminal's best friend, because using Google you can find out absolutely any kind of information on any topic related to computer security. So you can go onto Google, search for, say, viruses or worms, and you get a lot of negative information, but at the same time a lot of positive information as well.
So in this webbed world, this is crime that we have to take extremely seriously.
Exactly.
Well, from a 19-year-old, I'm getting a lot of advice and information. You've really come a long way in just 19 years.
Thank you.
Ankit Fadia, thank you so much for joining us on Tech Close-Up.
Thanks a lot.
In keeping with our interest in younger, smaller companies, we spent time recently with the management team at Metrio, a growing company who's trying to make a name for themselves in the world of online buyers and sellers.
Did you ever believe, when you started work on this company 5 or 6 years ago, that you would achieve this?
We certainly knew we were on to something big.
Daphne Carmelli knows how to meet a challenge. She survived a near-fatal traffic wreck, and now, as CEO of Palo Alto's Metrio, she's beaten even bigger odds, turning a fledgling software startup into a Silicon Valley success.
We were started in the very beginning of the year 2000. And the first plaque here was our first mention right here.
That's better than nothing, right?
And that one-inch mention caught lots of attention, from write-ups in business columns to fastest-growing startup awards.
And it was almost a half-page ad in the front page of the business section of the Wall Street Journal talking about what it is we do and the impact that we were having, and, you know, watch out.
And that means watch out for revolutionary ideas. Metrio pioneered software that takes the trial and error out of marketing. No more guessing to set the right price.
It's like having a virtual pricing analyst helping with you, working with you shoulder to shoulder, paraphrasing the key takeaways that the charts show you.
It's based on what's called data mining, programs developed 20 years ago for the internet to help the web make the most of limited bandwidth.
And it's the same concept. Instead of switches and routers, your resources are your inventory and your resources are your customer base. And that's how you best apply your resources to make the most margins.
Mining programs analyze a business's financial history, track trends, identify trouble spots, and then map out pricing structures, including discounts where they'll do the most good. Metrio developers compare it to the cure for cancer.
But unfortunately, not everyone is educated to understand or to trust what this software can do. Just like in the early days with inoculations, people didn't trust them and they were afraid of them.
A major challenge for a Silicon Valley startup, but Metrio feels it's found the right combination for success. A great idea, the focus to stick with it, and a great team to carry the ball.
It's very important to start with a strong team and continue to attract talent and keep talents. And the talents, like, it's a cliche, but talents is the biggest asset of a software company.
What helps us operationally is that we have a very strong base team with complementary skills.
And it's that stick-to-itiveness that gets a great team through the rough spots.
You know, we started in February of 2000. In March 2000, the market crashed. Uh-oh. Now what? Now what do you do?
When we are really dealing with difficult situations, sometimes we just like laugh at ourselves and talk about what kind of trouble we got ourselves into.
But Metrio's ideas may solve lots of troubles. Data mining programs that set prices could also manage time and work schedules, even streamline hotel reservations, crafty solutions to some common problems.
We all have the same problem, whether we sell lemonade at the backyard or whether we sell complex jet engine aircraft parts to complex multinational distributors.
It all amounts to a lesson in how to make a software startup work. In 5 short years, Metrio's made a big name in Silicon Valley business. The challenge for Daphne Carmelli to keep living up to that name.
I don't think there's any magic, there's no magic potion, there's no magic secret. I think you got to take all that magic away and just stick to the basic business fundamentals.
Silicon Valley just wouldn't be what it is without the people who drive the technology. But their world is far more than chips or gene sequencers or radio waves. Tech Closeup is pleased to introduce then Christina King, our correspondent who covers the human side of the Silicon Valley. Christina joins us with a truly moving human story.
It's Friday afternoon at the Boys and Girls Club in East Palo Alto. Shooting hoops passes the time until their parents will pick them up after work. Games and sports have long been the central activities at these after-school clubs throughout the country. But at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula, that's all changing. These kids are solving math problems and working to be better readers, and they're doing it with the help of computers.
That stuff's really important. It's really important to have an inviting environment that's fun.
Peter Fortenbaugh is the Boys and Girls Club executive director.
But we figure once the kids are here, once they have a safe place, once they're off the streets, let's do more. We have an opportunity to really impact these kids' lives.
They're impacting young lives in a whole new way here, with a shift toward academics, a shift that would not be possible without a large grant from the Oracle Corporation's Education Foundation.
Charity starts at home. The Boys and Girls Club at the Peninsula is in Oracle's backyard, and we feel that it's very important to make an investment in serving the young people in this community, which is a very low-income community in an extraordinarily affluent part of the world.
Elementary and middle school children work on their own at the computer. Staff is here to help them when they get stuck on a problem. 6th grader Dulcie Manzo takes a break from her math homework to tell me why she's here.
At home, since I get distracted by the TV, instead I go to my room and read, but here, since there's no TV, I just come in because it's not that fun outside to play. It's better in here to keep doing my sessions.
And the sessions are working. When SuccessMaker first started, 60% of the 1st through 8th graders were performing below their grade level on math and reading. By the 2nd year, that number dropped to less than 30%. And every child has a story to tell.
But at school, I used to get a low reading when my grade was low at reading, but it came bigger.
Gabriel says he went from a D to an A+ in reading. Dulcie says instead of C's, she's now getting A's in math. 4th grader Nikisha Thomas is brand new to SuccessMaker.
I'm gonna learn more and more and more to be smart when I go back to school.
I would say that Nikisha's chances of success are very good.
In an area where 50% of teenagers don't graduate from high school, the program hopes to encourage kids to stay in school. Parents with kids in SuccessMaker are
Very happy. You ask any mom or dad how she feels about us helping her child with homework, and you just see their faces light up.
Oracle's $1.5 million grant helped launch SuccessMaker and also pays for a homework help program and a database tech class for high schoolers. The programs cater to kids at all 3 of the Peninsula's clubhouses. But SuccessMaker is the program Oracle wants to track to prove the program is true to its name.
We're in the process ourselves of evaluating this program with some help from Stanford University so that we'll be able to really report some metrics about the effectiveness of the program.
Like on this one, it's easy. You just have to add them all and then divide by the number that how many other numbers there are.
So you're doing division.
Yeah.
So in addition to building better bodies, the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula is building better minds, making small successes one child at a time. Christina King for Tech Closeup.
The mission of our program is to capture the true spirit of the high-tech community, so we want to hear back from you. Send us your feedback, your suggestions, story ideas to us via our website at www.techcloseup.com. closeup.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Levinson. And remember, if you want to stay close to the technology that drives the Silicon Valley, then join us next time for another edition of Tech Closeup.